The Cowboys find themselves on the historic end of a beatdown at the hands of the Lions, prompting questions about whether or not this team is soft. The Cowboys lose 47-9 at AT&T Stadium, the worst home loss in that building's history, no less, on Jerry Jones' 82nd birthday. The Cowboys embarrassing Jones in front of company as the Cowboys now lose their fourth straight game at home, where they have been outscored 110-35 in their last four first halves at AT&T Stadium. Another historic beatdown at AT&T from a team that has used a San Francisco offensive disciple, this time in Ben Johnson, to embarrass, dominate, and physically whoop the Cowboys in the trenches to the tune of a 38-point loss, prompted questions about whether or not this Cowboys team is soft. Now, Mike McCarthy says, hey, you got to be careful when you use that word when referring to players in the National Football League. But I don't know what other conclusion you and I could come up with after watching DeMarvion Overshown and Trayvon Diggs and the rest of this team act like they didn't want to tackle anybody, where Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery took it to them, play in and play out, and the amount of flawless execution that the Lions put together was the stuff of legend, and begging Cowboys fans to have something similar eventually get to Dallas. But hey, don't worry about it, Cowboys fans. Jerry Jones says, what am I, an idiot? I'm not making any changes going into the bye week. But Mike McCarthy says they got to go full Michael Jackson and look themselves in the mirror and figure out what's going wrong. I can tell you what's going wrong. This team doesn't have a chance in hell when it comes to winning in the trenches, where they were dominated both offensively and defensively, so much so that Zach Martin looked like a shell of himself on Sunday, playing probably what was the worst football game of his illustrious career, what will be a Hall of Fame career for the former Notre Dame product. But what bothers me most is that yet again a team physically decided that they were going to punk you in your own building, and the Cowboys laid down and took it, and they found a way to embarrass themselves, find yet another creative way to embarrass themselves in front of their home fans who are sick and tired of the same old. And here is what now has to happen going forward. The Cowboys, yes, are 3-3 in the thick of it in the NFC East, have a chance to win this division. There's been no back-to-back division winners in the NFC East since 2004. But did anything that happened on Sunday indicate to you that you have confidence about this team going forward for the rest of the year? Because it certainly didn't give me any confidence at all. A team that looked like it found its running game against the Pittsburgh Steelers only gave Rico Dowdle 2 carries in the game in the first half on Sunday. For some reason, Ezekiel Elliott was the feature back, getting more touches in what was the first half, and by the time you got Rico Dowdle involved, it didn't even matter because of how worse you were getting beat down in the game. All of this is on Mike McCarthy as your play caller, because in a game where you have no DeMarcus Lawrence, no Micah Parsons, no Deron Bland, and your defense is a shell of itself, knowing how badly it's going to need its offense to pick them up to try to keep this game close, the Cowboys offense simply couldn't do it. And the quarterback isn't absolved here either. The red zone interceptions and the turnovers that the quarterback continues to have is killing this football team. But Mike McCarthy, as the head coach and play caller, has to put this team in position to be able to have some kind of opportunity to keep up with that high-powered Lions offense. Tight window throws were abound once again. No receiver separation for any of these Cowboys receivers. And when you don't win the turnover battle, when you can't execute in the red zone, when you're trading field goals for what are touchdowns by the Lions offensively, you're going to lose every single time. And here's what the Cowboys now have to face. They got to sit on this ass whooping for 2 weeks and then get ready to take on a San Francisco 49er team that's had their number for years now. So I don't know where they're going to go. Stephen Jones says that they're not going to make changes. They're not going to do anything drastic. Mike McCarthy says we got to get back to the fundamentals. I don't know who the hell is teaching these fundamentals. Actually, I do know who's teaching these fundamentals. And right now, I don't know if they should be anywhere near this football team, coaching them the way that they've looked when it comes to home games so far this year. The Cowboys now find themselves 0-3 at AT&T Stadium. And yet and still, in this NFC East, they find themselves in the thick of it. So that may be a silver lining that you and I may be looking for. But what they can't do, and what they have continued to prove have the Cowboys, is that they can't punch above their weight class. Yeah, they can beat the Steelers, they can beat the Giants, they can beat the hapless Browns, but they can't beat teams that you and I consider to be really good in the NFL. And when you have a team that has the talent and the aspirations of the Cowboys team, I evaluate them through the lens of, can they beat the San Francisco 49ers? Can they beat the Detroit Lions? Can they beat some of the upper echelon teams in the NFL? And the answer right now is hell no, they can't do it. And there isn't any indication right now that they can do it going forward as well when you start thinking about what's coming after the bye week. Whether it's the San Francisco 49ers, the Atlanta Falcons, the Houston Texans, the Philadelphia Eagles, any of these teams that you want to think of that's going to be happening in this stretch after the bye week and what they've got to look forward to going into the rest of the year, I don't know how in the world they're going to figure it out. But what they've got to figure out is how to develop a mindset that says we're not going to allow teams to walk into our building and physically and utterly dominate us and then embarrass us to the point where they're running offensive linemen out there trying to catch touchdown passes, all the tackle-eligible plays. I think it was 11 of them that the Lions had. They were physically trying to embarrass you. They wanted to punk you. They wanted to show you that what they were isn't the same team that you got to beat up on for years and years and years. And they made it a point to do it and do it over and over and over again, Marshawn Lynch. And guess what? I admire the petty that the Detroit Lions had in them, because I would have been stunting the exact same way based off of what happened to me last year in that building and what I believe my team is going forward for the rest of the year and what is going to be, it looks like, a terrific year for Detroit. All that to say is the Cowboys got to go full Michael Jackson and look in the mirror and find out what they are. Because if they don't, this thing can get ugly and get ugly fast. But I'm sick and tired of coming on here talking to you about the same things over and over and over again. The lack of physicality, the lack of discipline, the inability to win the turnover battle, and the penalties that we continue to see for this team, and the lack of execution that kills them every single week. Until all that's cleaned up and it starts from the top with Mike McCarthy and this organization, nothing is going to change. And you saw all of that come to an ugly head on Sunday at AT&T Stadium, embarrassing Jerry Jones in front of company on his 82nd birthday. Nothing to open up from a gift perspective that he wanted to open. And the Cowboys are the gift that keeps on giving, which is historic L's inside their own building. Where they go from here is absolutely up to them. But they've got to find a way to turn around fast, because if they don't, this season could be lost very, very soon. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports here on YouTube. I'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.